Remember, the legal experts from Benson and Case are in our help center for you this morning. They want to answer your questions and offer help if you have suffered a life-changing injury. It's important that you don't wait to call. They can help you investigate your case and connect you with the medical help you need right now. 303-218-BEST is the number to call. 303-218-2378. Well, if you are ever in an accident or suffer from some sort of injury, the first person you're likely to encounter is an insurance agent. They want to know what happened, or they may be offering to settle your case right away. Should you talk to them, or should you take the money? Here with some answers, Joe Stengel. He's a personal injury attorney, one of the partners with Benson and Case. Off the top of the show, we were talking about how important it is to call someone right away after an accident, whether you think you're seriously hurt or not, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Obviously,
action.
yeah, you want to call your agent and advise them you've been in an accident to essentially start the claims process so that you can, get treatment, have your car repaired, or if in fact it's totaled, then you get the property damage payment. So obviously you want to call your agent. And you want obviously the best policy that you can get. And I said earlier, uninsured or underinsured motors is a very minimal amount of coverage unless you request more. And we always recommend before the accident to have the best policy that you can afford in place. And uninsured or underinsured is very cheap.
Yeah, it is. It's one thing to know what to do after an accident, but you're here to really walk viewers through the process of making sure you're covered before an accident. So when you say uninsured and underinsured, how do we know if we have that already, on our, is it an easy thing to figure out if you've got it? And how do you know how much coverage you have? Because there are different levels that you can get?
Sure. Okay. It's easy to figure out. You can either ask your agent or look at your policy, and it'll tell the limits of what the coverage is. And we recommend always to get the most that you can afford, because you never know when you're going to need that coverage, because unfortunately there are a lot of people that are driving without insurance, and sometimes the insurance that the person that is involved with the accident with you isn't enough to cover your injury. So that's when your policy steps
Kicks
forward.
in.
Yeah, that's when you're protected.
So if there are different levels, do you recommend getting the maximum amount, and is that affordable?
We do recommend the maximum amount, and it is very affordable.
Okay.
It's virtually small amount on top of the policy for that additional coverage.
Okay. And then we've talked about in the past umbrella policies that you can actually attach to your policies. If you've got, I guess, not just car insurance but home insurance, you can umbrella it.
Sure.
Will you explain that, walk people through that, how simple that could be?
Sure. It's additional coverage, again, for a minimal amount that protects you for unintended circumstances or events that you couldn't have ever anticipated. So for a little bit more on insurance, you can get the maximum coverage possible to protect you from everything.
All right. Now, I love it when you and your team come on and you talk about recent cases that you've helped close. I think people can relate to them. You recently helped a woman who was in an accident, and she had issues that you helped her with, actually not so much her insurance, but with the hospital, the doctors.
Sure.
Is that right?
We had a 68-year-old woman that was involved in an accident, and she was taken by ambulance to the emergency room, and they, of course, did the diagnostic testing and determined that she had broken her pelvis. So they treated the broken pelvis, and as time went on, she just didn't seem to be getting well, and of course, by then we had taken the case, and we sort of looked the facts over, and we said, something's just not right here. And so we referred her to a spine specialist, a back doctor, and they did an MRI and determined that she had some herniated discs that were undiagnosed. Had they been done sooner, she may have had a lot less pain and may have had a quicker recovery time. And so the insurance company didn't believe that that was an appropriate diagnosis. And so we were fighting with them over the course of time, and we ended up having to take the case to trial. And they made a very small offer for settlement, which when we went to trial, we significantly, I guess, topped their offer.
Can you give me some details? Like how do you remember how much they offered in their settlement?
Sure. They offered $100,000 to settle, and that would have been for future injury, future treatments.
Right.
And we ended up getting about $435,000.
$435,000.
Right. And that money went for her future treatments so that she could, get past the injury and then be compensated for the loss of lifestyle.
Absolutely, because just because she has healed, that doesn't mean she's pain-free for the rest of her life, I wouldn't imagine.
And generally back problems never seem to go away. They just, unfortunately, they don't. And you're in pain essentially for the rest of your life. And we helped her work through that and got a significant settlement for her.
Yeah, and not only were you, protecting her, with the initial thing with the, the ER doctors didn't diagnose her correctly, but then you came in and protected her against the insurance company who was just trying to settle for $100,000. So you really, have them fully protected all the way around, don't
Sure.
you? Yeah, you and your team. And I love it when you come on, John Case comes on, Carrie comes on. You just have an incredible team, and you all have kind of different specialties that you like to take on, right?
We do. I do a lot of what we call premise liability cases, and Carrie and John, they do. John does the major med mal. Carrie and I then, of course, follow in with the accident type work. But we all look over each other's shoulders. So
Absolutely.
we say, "Well, have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? What about this? What about that?" So it's a team. You get a team at Benson and Case.
Absolutely, and we love your team. We love having you on Colorado's Best. And one other thing we were just chatting about, brain injuries. A lot of people feel like even if they've had just a little bit of a fender bender, maybe didn't have a break, you're seeing brain injuries from something like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
One of the most underdiagnosed injuries of all, and it can be one of the hardest to treat and hardest to get over. Memory loss, sleeping problems, can't get the right word when you need it, and just you're simply not up
Headaches.
to the headaches. You're just not up to speed with where you were prior to the accident, and you just don't think, wow, I have a brain injury, and they're just totally undiagnosed 90% of the time.
And you're so proactive, with your clients. You help them get the right diagnosis with the right doctors and get the right settlement.
Right. We
Appreciate
ask
it.
those questions, and they say this or that, and we say, let's get you looked at for a brain injury, and then we move from there.
That's awesome. All right, well, the entire team from Benson and Case, they're here right now for you. They can answer any questions that you might have. You can call them in our help center at 303-218-BEST, 303-218-2378. And when they're not here in their help center, you can reach them directly by calling Benson and Case at 303-757-8300. And you can also go online to bensoncase.com. And they are our legal experts on our sister station as well on Fox 31. So you can also find them there by clicking Ask the Expert tab on KDVR.com. Well, retirement can be expensive.